Force Awakens.
Oh, well, I should have known that was going to happen. That was
Mm.
stupid. That was really stupid. Why did I do that? I should have known. I was like, man, it's going to pull the upset. And I was like, no, it's not. Of course it's not. Thank God I didn't have it get very far.
For whatever reason, recently on StreamYard, my video has been lagging behind my audio, but the audio has been 100% fine. So if I lag, just fucking don't worry about it.
Okay.
The audio
Dave,
should be fine.
are you experiencing any issues right now? Because I know I've given you trouble on StreamYard the past couple of days.
Oh, no, we're good.
Oh, thank the Lord. Oh, we're live now. Great. Fantastic. Good, great, grand, wonderful. All right. Well, Dave, I'm going to start this recording, and then we'll do some whatever.
Do we have
really
I don't think I got
professional.
the final bracket.
Well, you didn't get the final bracket?
Yeah, I don't think I did.
Oh, don't worry about it. You're about to see it matchup by matchup.
Okay, as long as I see it, I just need to see it.
So it'll be a sort of live reveal to you two, I guess. We'll have some fun with it. It'll be a good time. All right, 3, 2. Dave, I have no time to ask you questions. I have none. I was going to ask you your favorite snub for this bracket, but I don't want to give away any secrets. I don't want to have the people realize that I'm trying to think of a bad movie here. Well, Suicide Squad was kind of bad funny, so I wouldn't want to say that.
I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but Wayne's World is in there. So, I mean, there are bad movies.
I really hate everything about you right this moment, but I'll ignore that for a second, that you said that. Wayne's World 2 didn't make it. That's a perfectly great comedy sequel. But anyway, as we did last week, we have no time for preamble this week. We're joined by Jeff McNamara of the Mac and Goo program. Mac, welcome to the show.
Boys, I'm happy to be back for quite a tall task we have today. Although
Yes. You
guys already did the tall task of seating it. Today is relatively easy, I guess.
That's true. And as I told our guest for the Sports Figures podcast, I cannot stress this enough. If you have a problem with the seating, please bring it up and please direct it to Dave.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, how did you, like, obviously, let's say there's 25, 30 movies shortlist for well, let's say 64, so maybe you have a list of 80. Like, how did you seat them? You know, like, was there any sort of, was it all just preference? Was there any, like, how did that go?
So picture like a Mad Max sitting. I'm kidding. What we did was we pretty much just put this list together. We just made a huge list of comedies. We started seating from the top, and we did for the sports figure one. We kind of did 116, 215, and did it that way.
Yep.
For this one, we just went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think towards the middle we started to kind of do the bottom seeds. But we had too many movies, so there were a lot of movies that got cut. For example, I'll give one. The Mask got cut. I was really not happy about that, but I realized I probably like it more than most people do. But that was.
But I think that's a pretty good pretty good barometer right there, because The Mask doesn't strike me as like a top 30 comedy of all time. But if you told me it was 50th, I'd be fine with that. If you told me if it was 80th, I'd be fine with that. You know, so
right.
You guys are right on it there.
So you're probably not going to be happy that Anchorman 2 is a 3 seed. No, I'm kidding. I'm very much kidding. I don't want people to fall out of their seats. But so that's what we did. There was some tinkering along the way in terms of seed numbers, and as we talked off air, some oversights that we will not get into. But Mac only knows the 1 seeds because I told him he recommended the names of the regions, and those happened to just coincide with the 4 1 seeds. He knows nothing else. Dave apparently doesn't have the final bracket either, save for one region I sent him today. So it'll be a surprise for him too, kind of, depending on how good his memory is. But that being,
spoiler.
Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, Mac, you're the guest. Do you want to start in the Bill Murray region, the Adam Sandler region, the Will Ferrell region, or the John Belushi region?
Let's start with the Belushi region.
Of course. Let's start with Belushi. Major rest in peace, John Belushi. If you're listening from beyond this mortal coil. Anyway, so obviously the John Belushi region, the 1 seed is Animal House, and the 16 seed is Ace Ventura. So we're going to rapid fire the first round, as we said off air, and as Dave recommended last week, very smartly, because this will take 4 hours if we don't. So 1 sentence and then your pick. So my sentence is, I like Ace Ventura, but of all these movies, honestly, it might have aged the worst out of any of them. So Animal House, it's the 1 seed. I got to roll with it.
Yeah, Animal House is one that I feel like people would get angry at you if you say you don't like. Ace Ventura, as much as that is a great first watch, even it doesn't age well, but also it's not super rewatchable either.
It pains me to admit, but yes, if you're a big Dan Marino fan, you probably like it. Dave, is it unanimous?
It's unanimous. I wasn't a huge Ace Ventura fan and it didn't age well, like you guys said. Animal House is just, I think it's a really funny comedy, especially it makes even more sense and it's more funny after you go to college because it's like it somewhat makes more sense and connects more. But not that everyone has that kind of lifestyle, but it makes more sense.
I mean, you don't like Wayne's World, so you kind of told yourself already.
Yeah, it's true.
Steve's going Ace Ventura. I like it, Steve. Steve's a wild card. I appreciate it. All right, moving on to the 8-9. Always a tough one. The 8-9 matchup, the 8 seed Friday and the 9 seed Clueless.
Wow, that is a tough one. That's a good 8-9 right there.
That's 8-9. As we all know from watching the tourney, 8-9s are very tough.
So Clueless is really, really good, but I do not quote it as much as I do Friday. So I'm going to go Friday.
Dave, you're going to be the deciding vote here because I'm rolling Clueless. Paul Rudd has not aged a day. Alicia Silverstone, fantastic in the role. So, Dave, you're the tiebreaker here.
I'm going to go with Clueless as well. I like Paul Rudd, so that's the deciding factor for me.
The upset. Paul Rudd on here many, many times. Many, many times. Speaking of which, actually, the 5 seed, the 40-year-old virgin, the 12 seed trading places. All due respect to Dan Aykroyd, I hate him and everything he's in pretty much. Never been a fan. The one thing I've always ever found him funny in was Tommy Boy, which we'll actually get to next. But, I mean, the 40-year-old virgin has maybe the hardest I've laughed at a scene from maybe not that year, but one of the hardest scenes I've laughed at is if I hear Yamo be there one more time, I'm going to Yamo burn this place to the ground. Every single time it gets me. But that movie, there are parts of it that haven't aged well, but overall it's absolutely hysterical. I got to go with 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, fuck trading places. Give me 40-year-old virgin. 40-year-old virgin is, I wouldn't necessarily call it a top 5 or 6 comedy of all time, but quotability wise, it's up there in that top probably 5 or 6. Like, it's iconic. Everyone knows a quote from the 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 40-year-old virgin as well. I think that movie is, I think it's becoming more popular recently, and it deserves it because it's just a really funny movie.
It's classic. It's what the kids call a classic, Dave. A modern classic, and it really was Steve Carell's first starring vehicle. I mean, he was in The Office, but this really kind of launched him.
I mean, just the idea, and it's such a small part of the movie, but just the idea of the "we sell your stuff at eBay" store is fucking all-time funny.
That's true. That's good. And I mean, obviously the Kelly Clarkson scene, fantastic. Yeah. Just classic moments, but we'll probably talk a little bit more about it. So the 4 seed is Tommy Boy and the 13 seed is Zoolander. This was tough. Putting Zoolander 13 was tough. But this will not be a Harvard, San Diego State level upset. I got to go with Tommy Boy. It's like one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I think a rule of thumb, if you can make an actor that I despise funny, then the movie gets extra points. And it did it twice with Dan Aykroyd and David Spade. So, I mean, I got to give it extra points there. And Bo Derek, not Bo. Is it Bo Derek? Bo Derek, right? Or is it Daryl?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's Bo Derek. Like one of the worst acting performances ever. But either way, Tommy Boy is downright just like one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. So it's not even a thought for me. I
actually just rewatched it the other day, like a week and a half ago. And I guess it's like those mid-90s SNL comedies. I sort of forget how much I like them. So give me Tommy Boy over Zoolander. As much as I like to pull off a nice blue steel, Tommy Boy.
I can't turn left, but Tommy Boy can. Dave?
I'm going to go with Tommy Boy here. To me, it's not that close. I was never a big fan of Zoolander. I always loved Tommy Boy, though, and it's on TV all the time, too, if anyone's not seen it.
It's true. It is on TV a lot, and I watch it every single time. It's always fun to see what they censor and what they don't. It's great. Next up, the 6 seed Coming to America and the 11 seed National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is no secret that I hate Chevy Chase. I do not like this movie. So that makes it easy for me. I'm going Coming to America. It's also the higher seed, so I might get outvoted here. I get it, but I'm not letting it win in a sweep. That's for damn sure.
Notorious asshole Chevy Chase is really good at being an asshole on camera and is pretty funny at it. But I think Christmas Vacation is really good. I think I'm going to go Christmas Vacation here over Coming. I don't love Coming to America. No desire to watch the sequel that's out now. I'm going to go Christmas Vacation.
Dave, I'm guessing you're pulling the upset here.
I am going to pull the upset here. I love Christmas Vacation. I think
you are.
It's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie.
It's a miracle we didn't murder each other making this bracket. It really is. All right, the 3 seed Borat and the 14 seed Planes, Trains, and
Oh
Automobiles.
man, right in the heart.
Yeah, it really is. We love this movie. Obviously, we did a whole review of it. It was not the last normal Thanksgiving we did one, so 2019. That being said, as much as I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I don't know if I've ever laughed harder in the theater than I did at Borat. And I was like 11 or 12 years old. I should not have seen this movie. But thankfully, my uncle's really cool, and we were moving at the time, and he was like, I'm going to go take him to the movies. And that year, we saw 300 and Borat together, movies I should not have been seeing. But again, they were formative. I had that 300 ticket for a long time. I only recently lost it. It's got to be somewhere at my parents' house. But yeah, the long and short of it is, I mean, Borat's a modern classic, so I got to go with Borat.
Borat, other than maybe Avengers Endgame, is the single greatest theater experience I've ever had. It was like a time and place thing. We had a hockey tournament. So it was like 15 of us. We were all 16, 17, 18 years old. And we watched Borat. We all went to the theater as a team and watched it. And I think I laughed for 2 straight hours. It's just, I'll never have a theater experience like that again.
No, especially for a comedy. Like, of course, there's like, like you said, Endgame, and like I've said before and I've tweeted before, I swear to God, there are people still out there who are like, yeah, I once heard this dumbass say it was Vision that lifted the hammer. Like, I swear to God, there's people. It was so quiet when it happened. I swear to God, there are people out there like, you wouldn't believe what I heard this dumbass say in the theater. Like, why on earth would that be the foray into all these portals? Yeah, everybody loves Vision. Well, I guess we do now. But anyway, Dave, is it a clean sweep or are you going for the heart pick here?
I love both of these movies. Like, Borat was so great when it first came out, especially. I know it's going to move on anyway, so I'm going to take Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for the respect vote here.
Of course, for the respect vote. It's like that one guy who didn't want Ken Griffey Jr. to be unanimous. So congratulations.
I'm that asshole.
That's who you are. Anyway, the 7 seed Young Frankenstein against the 10 seed Meet the Parents.
Oh, that's another tough one.
It is a classic against a underrated movie.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein is one of those ones that my dad really loved, and so it ended up being me really loving it. And as much as I like Meet the Parents, there's a lot of good sight gags. I'm gonna go Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, I have to agree. I do love Meet the Parents, but there's just something about Young Frankenstein. It just makes it a classic, so I got to go with it. And especially since my parents used to perform some of the songs in their cabaret, so I had that connection too. Dave?
I'm going to go Meet the Parents here. I think that just Robert De Niro in this movie is just so funny. As like, I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? It's like that line just got me right there. I couldn't stop laughing.
It's such a good line. I got nipples, fucker. Can you milk me?
You can't play volleyball or water volleyball without thinking about that movie too.
No, that's a tough one. Good.
You spray painted Jinxie? All right, and the 2 seed Step Brothers against the 15 seed A Fish Called Wanda. This is personal for me. I love A Fish Called Wanda. I don't really like Kevin Kline all that much, but he is hysterical in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is also very good, and it's overall just a very funny movie. But this was just a respect vote putting it in here at the 15 seed because there is absolutely no chance that it's going to beat Step Brothers. I mean, Step Brothers is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I know I've said that about Tommy Boy, but there's a reason these are the higher seeds, so I have no choice but to roll Step Brothers.
Yeah, there's going to be very few movies here as we go along that I'm going to have to think twice with Step Brothers. So give me Step Brothers easy.
Dave, considering you've never seen A Fish Called Wanda, I'm guessing you're going to go with Step Brothers.
That is exactly my reasoning.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Mac, what's up next? You want to go Bill Murray? You want to go Sandler or Ferrell?
Yeah, let's go. Let's keep going with the we'll age up a little bit. So we'll go to Murray here.
All right, we'll go to the Bill Murray region. The 1 seed Caddyshack against the 16 seed What We Do in the Shadows. So I'll mention this, though. We did make the list we made went by decade. And the 2010s, as you've explored on your podcast a lot, Mac, doesn't have a lot of great comedies. So we had to represent it somehow. In fact, Crazy Rich Asians was the last movie cut from this list. So What We Do in the Shadows made it as a 16 seed up against the top seed. I'm embarrassed to say I've actually never seen this movie. But I know I would love it because I love Taika Waititi. I love Jermaine Clement. That being said, I have to go with Caddyshack. I mean, it's the 1 seed for a reason.
Caddyshack, I don't love. And this shit. I love What We Do in the Shadows. It, in part, sort of kind of what you're talking about there, because a lot of people haven't seen it. So it's one of those movies you can say, you got to watch it. You got to seek it out. And then usually that person will We'll love it. I'm gonna go What We Do in the Shadows here. Like
Okay.
I don't have the passion for Caddyshack as I do most of the other classics.
I don't either. It's more of a respect vote, honestly. If I've
Yeah.
seen What We Do in the Shadows, maybe I vote with you, but I'm kind of going. I mean, Caddyshack's prime to not get out of the first weekend here. I'm telling you right now, but we'll see about that in the future. Dave, is it even getting out of the first round?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Caddyshack here. I've actually never seen What We Do in the Shadows either, so I can't even vote for it. But I'm not a huge fan of Caddyshack either. I think it's an overrated movie.
I agree.
I think it's an okay comedy. It has some laughs, but I think people make it out to be like this all-time classic.
So here's that moment for me. I want you guys to go watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes, and really telling ourselves there, Dave, by saying we both haven't seen it.
I know.
But anyway, will it get past the winner of this matchup? The 8 seed Fast Times against the 9 seed The Princess Bride.
Ooh.
So I've never been crazy about Fast Times. I like Sean Penn. He's good. I like him. Michael Scott likes him too. But I'm gonna roll with The Princess Bride here. I think The Princess Bride is more memorable, more rewatchable, and I think it's also more quotable. Which ultimately, that's what a lot of coin flip comedy discussions come down to for me, is what's more quotable. And I'm probably gonna quote Princess Bride more. So my vote goes to The Princess Bride. What say you?
I'll let Dave go here because this is a real toss-up for me.
I'm actually going to go with Princess Bride as well. I think it's a little bit more quotable, and I think that kind of pulls it in front, especially for a comedy. That's the kind of thing you look for.
Yeah, all right. Made it easy for me. My problem with The Princess Bride is I think most of the comedies like in the first 35, 40 minutes, whereas Fast Times doesn't age all that well, but it's definitely, man, I don't want to say more iconic because people love The Princess Bride, but either way, Princess Bride's moving on.
Are you picking Fast Times just to give it the vote?
I'm gonna go Fast Times just because I don't know. I have a soft spot for Fast Times, I guess.
Okay. All right, that's fine. That's good. I understand that. So the region name pops up again. The 5 seed Groundhog Day against the 12 seed Mrs. Doubtfire. I like Groundhog Day a lot, and I know it's going to win. So that's why my vote's going to go to Mrs. Doubtfire because I think to me it's more rewatchable. I love it. I mean, Robin Williams does not appear on this list very often. This might be his only appearance, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a great movie. I love Mrs. Doubtfire. Sally Field, underrated performance. Antonio Banderas, he almost dies. Like he almost kills Antonio Banderas, which is pretty messed up. But it's got some great stuff. It's overall, I mean, Robin Williams was such an iconic comedic actor because he could do so much. And really, he shows every bit of that in this movie. So that's why I'll go with it, even though I'm pretty sure Groundhog Day is going to win. I got to give it the respect vote. So, Dave, what do you say about this?
This is a tough one for me because I do love Mrs. Doubtfire, but I'm going to go Groundhog Day. I just like Bill Murray way too much.
Yeah, I was sort of in the same boat as Jake because Mrs. Doubtfire has such great heart, too. That's a movie I just absolutely love. But if you love Bill Murray, Groundhog Day is like the most of a Bill Murray movie can be. So I got to go Groundhog Day.
I understand that. All right. The 4 seed, 21 Jump Street against the 13 seed Big. Again, I love me some Tom Hanks. He's great. I love Tom Hanks. But 21 Jump Street might be the best comedy of the 2010s. It's incredible. The scene where they're tripping with Rob Riggle. Oh my God, dude. It is so fun. I rewatched it recently for the first time in a long time, and it still holds up very, very well. That is maybe one of my favorite theater experiences because there was a guy at the theater we were seeing it at who his laugh was maybe funnier than the movie. Like every time something happened, the dude was bellowing and it was hysterical. And we were like, it got to a point where we were laughing more at him than the movie. But the movie's also very good. Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, who'd have thought they'd have such great chemistry, but they do. And I'm going to go 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, to echo that, this was one I went in thinking, yeah, it might be funny. Like, I don't know if Channing Tatum's going to be that funny. Like, outside of Superbad, Jonah Hill hasn't really made me laugh. So when I left the theater, I was like, holy shit, that was a great movie. And as a 4 seed, could very well win the region.
It could. It's definitely going to be a very, very hot contender out of the Bill Murray region. Nothing to do with Bill Murray, but could very well take his name. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, Big is a really solid movie, but I feel like it's just not in the same breath as 21 Jump Street. Like Big is like a good heartfelt movie, but it's like to me it doesn't make me laugh all that much. It's just like a good story, whereas 21 Jump Street just made me like curl over and die laughing. I'm gonna take 21 Jump Street.
My favorite thing about Big is how Michael Scott used as an example of a disability. That was probably he grew into a man overnight. That counts. All right, the 6 seed Ferris Bueller against the 11 seed Office Space. So we discussed. You'll notice as we get along, the Breakfast Club did not make it. I think there are funny parts of the Breakfast Club, but it's definitely not as much of a comedy as Ferris Bueller is. Ferris Bueller, I like a lot. I think Breakfast Club is the better movie because they're so often talked about together. But I'm going to go Office Space here, actually. I think Office Space is the better movie overall. I think it's funnier overall. I think it's got better high points. We are also, as Dave and I have made known very many times, a pro Diedrich Bader podcast. We're very pro Diedrich Bader on this podcast. If he's in the movie, he's going to get at least that dub from me. So I'm going to pull the upset here and go Office Space.
Yeah, I'm going to go right there with you. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a movie I like, but I don't find it hysterical. And to your point about the Breakfast Club, like it has funny moments, but it's definitely more of a drama. It's a teen drama, if you were going to call it anything.
Right.
Yeah, Office Space is iconic, absolutely iconic. And it became sort of like a Napoleon Dynamite. Obviously, did it before that, where it got a second life, 2-3 years later, a lot of home video sales. Like it's one that everyone likes.
Yeah. David, is it a clean sweep?
It's a clean sweep. I think Ferris Bueller's kind of in the same category for me as Caddyshack. It seems to be like a cult favorite, but I just don't find it that funny. I think it has moments, but I think Office Space is hilarious. Like I think just overall, like the stapler a bit. It's like if you've ever had an office job for 10 seconds, like that is just basically the premise of how they do things. They promote people, and sometimes it makes no sense. People asking you to stay late, work late, change offices. It's just like it's so funny.
It's great. It's great. It's a great movie, and it'll move on to face the winner of. Oh my god! Yeah, the next one. The next one. What was I going to say about Ferris? Oh, yeah, Murph's going to be pissed when he sees this, by the way. He's going to be pissed off when he sees this. I already know. Just Ferris Bueller not moving on. The fact that Caddyshack's probably getting bounced next round, not going to be happy.
But like Ferris Bueller is fun because there's like an adventure going on too, but it's not super funny, if that makes any sense. It's a fun movie, but it's not hysterical.
It's also tough when the best character in the movie is not the title character. That's
also a good point.
Also a tough look. The 3 seed Billy Madison against the 14 seed Best in Show. All due respect to Best in Show and Eugene Levy's eyebrows, but Billy Madison's got to win here. I mean, I'm as you'll see by the seeding later on, I'm more of a Happy Gilmore guy, but Billy Madison is undeniably one of his best movies, and it's hysterical. It is incredibly quotable. The whole movie is essentially quotable. It's like Step Brothers. Like you can quote the whole script pretty much. So easy win, easy dub for Billy Madison for me.
Yeah, tough draw for Best in Show because that would have been right for an upset. But Billy Madison, I'm on the same boat with you there. It's another movie that you can almost run through your head scene by scene without having seen it in a few years. It's so good, Billy Madison.
Dave?
Billy Madison for me as well. It's just this it's one of his best performances. Like I can't stop laughing even now seeing it 7 times.
I know. It's just funny using the word performance to describe what he does in that movie. He pretty much just lazes about with Artie Lang and Norm Macdonald. And then has some really, really, there's just so many great quotes, but we'll get into more of it in the next round. Next up, the 7 seed Dazed and Confused against the 10 seed The Wedding Singer. I'm not a huge Dazed and Confused guy. I get why people love it. I do, but it's just not my bag, to put it the best way I can. On the other hand, I love The Wedding Singer. I think it's incredibly underrated. I think it's one of Sandler's best, to bring the word back, performances. Like he's actually playing sad, happy. He has a range of emotions in the movie. And I'm not a big Drew Barrymore fan, but she's also very good in this movie as well. So overall, I think it's one of his most, actually, I'll say it's his most underrated movie by far. Maybe Punch Drunk Love, just because no one's ever heard of it, but The Wedding Singer, I think it's got my pick. I think it'll lose, but I'm gonna go with The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, Dave's gonna have to break a tie here because Dazed and Confused is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's something about it, the fact that nothing actually happens during the movie, but I get Shawshanked by it all the time. I don't know. It's definitely like I think it's a pretty easy argument that The Wedding Singer is funnier than Dazed and Confused. So I guess in a comedy bracket, maybe you'd move the Wedding Singer on, but I'm gonna go Dazed and Confused.
Well, Dave, you got a tough task ahead of you.
I am. I was going back and forth. You guys both made pretty good arguments. I'm gonna go with Dazed and Confused here.
Well, 211 episodes. It's been a good run.
I'm just, to me, I think it's both pretty equal, but I think I'm probably a little bit bigger fan of Dazed and Confused. Although I think Wedding Singer is probably a tiny bit funnier.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, moving on. The last matchup of this region, Blazing Saddles, the 2 seed against Deadpool, the 15 seed. So Deadpool's kind of the it broke ground pick here, just because R-rated comic book movies, that it was very funny. Personally, I like the second one better. I think it's a funnier movie. It may not be a better movie, but I think the second one's funnier. That being said, I mean, Blazing Saddles is a classic. So thanks for showing up, Deadpool, but it's going to be one of those classic. Every time I think of 215, I go Duke, Mercer, or Florida Gulf Coast, and they're kind of both times the 15 seed one. Just a typical 215 blowout. So yeah, Blazing Saddles gets the dub for me.
Yeah, no Dunk City here. I love Mel Brooks films, and actually, I agree with you. I think the second Deadpool is a better comedy. They don't waste as much time. They're not trying to tell an origin story. So I think Deadpool 2 is actually a better comedy, but give me Blazing Saddles here.
Dave, I'm assuming it's a clean sweep.
It's a clean sweep. I love Deadpool, but it's just, you can't beat Mel Brooks. I mean, this is just an absolute classic. It makes you laugh from start to finish. It's easy for me.
So if we're aging up slightly, is it Sandler next or Ferrell next? I think
we'll
Sandler,
go.
right?
Ferrell might be older actually, but Sandler was famous first. So let's go with Sandler.
All right, so let's start with Sandler. His region, the 1 seed is Happy Gilmore, and the 16 seed is Dodgeball, which is a very strong 16 seed.
Brutal.
Yeah, that is a strong 16 right there.
That being said, Happy Gilmore is a top 10 favorite movie of all time for me. So it's not even a thought, in my opinion. I love Dodgeball. It is maybe one of the more underrated comedies, even though people generally love it, and it's very quotable. A lot of gifts out there.
Super quotable.
But it's got Vince Vaughn, so right there, I'm a little reticent. And as I said the name Vince Vaughn, I just realized we had an incredible oversight in this bracket just because I don't like Vince Vaughn.
Old School?
No, Wedding Crashers.
That's a big one.
You know what, Dave? You know what? Vince Vaughn.
It's hard. It's hard to get every movie under the umbrella.
Vince Vaughn was in the remake of Psycho. So We'll just say that we're even now. That he gave us that, and we gave him this.
Take that, Vince Vaughn.
So yeah, no, he's a big fan of the show. I know he's listening. Anyway, the 1 seed Happy Gilmore for me wins this one easily.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore. That said, Dodgeball. Shit, that's a movie I have quoted as much as most other comedies in my life. But give me Happy Gilmore.
The way I said Happy Gilmore to Emily, you think that I put rotting food underneath her nose. She was disgusted by it. Dave, clean sweep, I imagine?
Yeah, clean sweep. Yeah. But I do think Dodgeball is just incredibly quotable. Like the line where he talks about like setting your expectations low so you can't be disappointed is just such an all-time line.
The one that gets me like more than it should, and the one that I probably quote and no one else does, is when he's introducing his dodgeball team. And he said, Blade, Laser, Blazer. It kills me every single time.
I love when she kills the guy with the dodgeball in the back of the bar.
I like when the when what's his name? I forget what his name is. But he's like we could pray, we pray falls off a roller coaster and breaks every bone in his body. He's like, why would you say that? Like that's so weird. He's like, well, no, it happened to my cousin Ray. Boop, dead.
Yeah, and it's got Jason Bateman in a little bit role that's unbelievably funny. ESPN 8 the Ocho. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. I've said that a million times.
A guy who shows up a few times on this list but goes so unheralded is Gary Cole. He shows up in a lot of these movies, especially Office Space, but he's in this one in that same bit role.
Yeah, that's right.
He's great. I love Gary Cole. Really sneaky, great career. But anyway, Happy Gilmore advances to face the winner of the 8 seed Legally Blonde and the 9 seed Beverly Hills Cop. This is relatively easy for me. I love Legally Blonde. I think Reese Witherspoon's so good, and it's very, very quick. Yeah, Emily approves. So if we had another vote here, she'd be in it. But yeah, I gotta go Legally Blonde. I do like Beverly Hills Cop, but Eddie Murphy's having a rough go so far. He's having a rough go. in the bracket, but Raw did not make the cut for the record. But
yeah, to your point, I think I just have like an Eddie Murphy blind spot. I've never found him hysterical. I know how significant he is. I know his SNL run is unparalleled. I actually like Beverly Hills Cop more than Coming to America. But give me Legally Blonde here. Legally Blonde, especially for female comedies, and you don't see a ton in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You know, they've obviously become more popular now, but Legally Blonde was one of the first ones, like Miss Congeniality, another one that, you know, finally got women in droves to the theaters for comedies.
Miss Congeniality, not on the bracket. But Legally Blonde obviously is. Dave, is it a sweep, or are you going with Eddie Murphy here?
I'm going to go with Eddie Murphy here. I really like Beverly Hills Cop. I just think it's a very unique movie in that it has some funny parts. It's a pretty good action movie, but, you know, obviously not going to sell any tickets based on the action. But Eddie Murphy, I think, is really good in this. So I'm going to take that even though it won't advance. I'm still going to take it.
What do we think of Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley and the guy who played Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat?
I love that movie.
That movie is funny as hell.
An oversight. Should have been in there. Next up, the 5-seed Airplane and the 12-seed Hot Fuzz. I appreciate my co-host letting me get Hot Fuzz this high, because I know it's not going to win because nobody is attached to it as much maybe as I am, but I will say every day of my life, Hot Fuzz is the most underrated movie I may have ever seen. I think other than another movie we'll get to in a minute, it's my favorite comedy of all time. I love Hot Fuzz, and I don't typically love British comedies, but Hot Fuzz just gets me every single time. It's so good. But that's my piece on Hot Fuzz. That's my vote. It won't go quietly into the night. Let's put it that way.
I'm gonna go Airplane. Hot Fuzz is one I sort of forget about all the time. I don't know if it's because I love Shaun of the Dead so much that like I sort of overlook what was the next in that quote unquote trilogy. But Airplane just has too many iconic moments in it. Give me Airplane.
Yeah. Dave, I'm assuming Airplane gets the win here.
Yeah, I'm going to break the tie with Airplane here. I just think that movie's way too funny. There's so many really just absolutely hilarious parts to it.
That's true. And also, Airplane does have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which Hot Fuzz does not. So, points there. Next up, the 413, the Battle of the Brits. Monty Python and the Holy Grail against Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Obviously, Austin Powers is, at least by modern standards, the funnier movie. But I saw Monty Python when I was young, probably middle school age, and I still enjoyed it. So if you can get a middle schooler to love that movie, it's probably a pretty good movie. So I'm going to lean Monty Python here just because I think it's a better movie overall and a better comedy overall, too.
Yeah, to that point, I think what was so awesome about Monty Python and the Holy Grail is it was a movie you never heard of growing up. Obviously, we grew up with Austin Powers. And at some point, someone introduces you to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and you're like, what the hell is this? And like 20 minutes in, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. And it's just so much smarter than an Austin Powers. Not to sound snobby, but the comedy in Monty Python is I don't this is as a 4-seed again, this is a real strong 4-seed. Give me Monty Python. I don't want to say anything bad about Austin Powers though. I'll say that.
No, it's a good movie, but I think you're right. It's a little more lowbrow than Monty Python. I don't know how many times they say, "Do I make you Randy?" in Monty Python.
The clicking of the coconuts every time is going to make me laugh.
It's so good. It's just the opening scene of Monty Python's enough to hook you in. Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to go Monty Python. I've never been a huge Austin Powers fan. I think it's funny, but I'm not sure I'm on the same level as other one.
It's not Austin Powers. You just don't. We've explored this. You don't like Mike Myers. I get it. You don't.
I mean, I don't like Mike Myers. That is true.
Well, these next two might be two of the most brutal matchups in the entire bracket. The 6-11, Old School versus Elf.
Oh, fucking A.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Again, Vince Vaughn's in one of these, which makes it tough for me. Luke Wilson's also in one of these, which makes it tough for me. Will Ferrell is iconic in both of them, so that's what makes it even more difficult. I realize this is not in the Will Ferrell region, but I couldn't put all of his movies together. Or we couldn't put all of his movies together. Dave, I'll throw it to you first because I'm a nice guy.
Of course. This is a close one for me, but I'm going to go Old School here. I really enjoy Elf, but I think the tiebreaker here is Elf is like a seasonal movie to me. Like it's fun around, October, even you can get into it, maybe January or February. But to me, Old School is just all time funny. Like they're so close, you kind of nitpick. But I'm gonna go Old School here.
Hey, Dave, I happen to see that your vote went to Christmas Vacation on the other side of the bracket, but not Elf here.
No.
Yeah, okay. Yes. All right. Well, Mac, you're the tiebreaker because I'm going with Elf.
Oh, man. So Old School is really, 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 really good. The earmuffs is something I've quoted for my entire life. But Elf has way more Will Ferrell in it, and Will Ferrell's my favorite comedic actor of all time. So I'm going to go Elf here. Dave's got a point that I really only watched this like 2 months out of the year. But in those 2 months, I probably watched it 15 times.
The primo 2 months right there. By the way, all the 11 seeds have won so far. Every one of them. So we'll see if we continue that trend in the Will Ferrell region. Next up, this one is prime for an upset because I know the people here love this movie. The 3 seed Ghostbusters against the 14 seed This Is the End. A movie I only recently saw, This Is the End, but it does not disappoint, even though I don't like James Franco. But overall, I'm interested to see what you guys say about this because I like Ghostbusters a lot. I'm not sure if I love it as much as most people do.
Yeah, I'll start. So this again is another Bill Murray at the most Bill Murrayest, but I don't think the movie's terribly funny. It's a really awesome movie. Sort of we were talking about off air how much you love Jurassic Park because it's such a great adventure and it's so rewatchable. I feel that way about Ghostbusters, but This Is the End was such a great surprise in the theater, and I couldn't believe it was a movie they pulled off. Like I was shocked at how funny it actually was. It does sort of falter towards the end, but I'm sort of give me This Is the End here in an upset.
I'm gonna go with This Is the End too. So that's a secured victory, Dave.
I'm actually gonna go with This Is the End as well. I think that movie is absolutely hysterical and it's massively underrated.
It is defeated Ghostbusters, but will it defeat Elf? That is the question. Next up, Emily just audibly gasped. I heard it from the other room. The 7 seed, The Big Sick against the 10 seed, The Naked Gun. What? No, I did hear that. I did hear that for sure. That's a little behind the curtain. Anyway, The Big Sick. This was kind of in the same vein as the Naked Gun. This is the end for you, Mac. Really big surprise for me. Like I knew it was going to be good, but I did not expect it to be as great as it was. And like Ray Romano obviously has the line in the movie, and they spoiled it in the trailer. But Kumail Nanjiani, very good dramatic actor. He carries it. He's funny. He is a very good deadpan comedian. Like when he delivers lines, just totally flat. He's hysterical every time he does it. And it's also got heart. So while it might lean more drama, it definitely has enough comedy to qualify it. And especially with the 2010s being so incredibly thin, we had to get something in there. So I'm going to go Big Sick here. I do love The Naked Gun. Leslie Nielsen, rest in peace, but I'm going to go Big Sick.
Yeah, I'm going The Big Sick as well. It's a rom-com. There's some drama in there, but the dynamic between Kumail, Ray Romano, and Holly Hunter is so, so good. Just the way they interact is funny. And Ray Romano's 9/11 joke was probably the hardest I laughed at a joke in the last 4 or 5 years. And the funniest part is I was watching it at like 1 a.m. and I woke up my roommate because I laughed so hard because I hadn't seen the trailer where he said it. Yeah. So it absolutely murdered me. So give me The Big Sick.
Dave?
I'm going to go with The Naked Gun here. I think this movie has so many things that made me just laugh out loud really, really hard. There was one I know specifically, like when the guy's in the wheelchair and he pushes him down the stadium stairs, accidentally goes over the guardrail. Like that to me is just like, it's not the most intelligent humor, but it makes me laugh just nonstop.
Is the first one the one with O.J. Simpson, or is that the sequel?
I think it's the sequel.
I think it is the sequel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I want to say sequel, yeah.
Well, there we go. Next up, the 215, Back to the Future against the Blues Brothers. We discussed this when we were making the bracket. I don't really like the Blues Brothers. If you haven't caught on by now, I don't like Dan Aykroyd. So that's why we ranked it so low. And I love John Belushi, much respect, but just don't like Dan Aykroyd. Back to the Future is a classic. I mean, it's definitely got a lot of elements mixed in, but it's definitely in the comedy realm. So Back to the Future is the easy winner for me.
Yeah, I can't get on board with Aykroyd either. So let's go down with Aykroyd. Give me Back to the Future.
Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy just absolutely getting just destroyed in this first round. Dave is a clean sweep.
It's a clean sweep. I've never really even liked Blues Brothers, honestly. I don't think it's even that funny. I watched it and I just was not really laughing that much.
Oh, I meant to put Blues Brothers 2000. I'm sorry. All right. And the last region, the Will Ferrell region. The 1 seed is Anchorman against the 16 seed Bill and Ted. Speaking of movies I really never got into, Bill and Ted. I do like Bill and Ted. Does not age particularly well, some of the script, but it is a good movie. Anchorman is one of the best comedies ever made. So, I mean, not even a thought process here.
Yeah, Anchorman's another one that I'm gonna have a hard time even thinking twice for a movie to beat it. So give me Anchorman.
Anchorman easily here.
All right, so this is another tough 8-9 matchup. Superbad against The Hangover. Because the Hangover, if you're looking at the sequels, is terrible. But the first one stands on its own, is still a very funny movie and a classic. But I still think Superbad, I think you guys have discussed this before, Mac, but Superbad's third act is very forgettable.
Mm-hmm. It's
an incredible first 2 acts. Just laugh a minute stuff, incredible. Third act is slow, not really that funny, kind of just really slow moving along. But I still think I'm going to go Superbad just because I feel like Superbad has the overall better story. I remember, more of the lines well, and The Hangover is more quotable in parts, but I still think I got to lean Superbad here.
Yeah, Zach Galifianakis is probably the single funniest character from either movie, but Superbad is more quotable and probably more relevant, right? We were all 16, 17, 18-year-old in that sort of phase, whereas like The Hangover is so outlandish that it's funny, but upon rewatches, it's less and less funny every time. So give me Superbad.
Dave?
This is really tough for me. I'm gonna go with Superbad, but I'm not gonna like it. I really, really enjoyed The Hangover and thought it was really funny, but can't go against Superbad.
I understand that. All right, the 5 seed is Mean Girls up against the 12 seed. There's Something About Mary. There's Something About Mary is one of those that people just kind of forget about, but it definitely is funny. But Mean Girls is on a different level. I mean, Mean Girls is like when you see in the bracket like a 5 seed that should be like a 3 seed, and you're like, oh my god, like that's gonna be a tough team to beat. Like, I don't know how they're gonna do that. That's Mean Girls in this bracket, and it's not even close for me. Like, I like Something About Mary, but Mean Girls is one of the best comedies of the past 20 years. So yeah,
Mean Girls does something that most other comedies fail to do, or most other comedies try to produce comedy from 1 or 2 characters. Every single character in Mean Girls is funny. Every single one of them. They're all funny. I love Mean Girls. Probably one of my 5 or 6 favorite comedies of all time.
And none for Gretchen Wieners. Dave?
I'm gonna go with Mean Girls here. I love There's Something About Mary, but I think Mean Girls is just an all-time classic.
I will say There's Something About Mary probably has the grossest scene.
Oh my god,
yeah. Anyway, the 4 seed My Cousin Vinny against the 13 seed Vacation, the regular Vacation. Again, Chevy Chase, you guys might know this by now. Don't like him. My Cousin Vinny, on the other hand, is one of my favorite comedies of the 90s. So, I mean, I got to go with My Cousin Vinny. It has, I think maybe the hardest I laughed in that movie is when he's freaking out on Marissa Tomei and he's like going through the pictures. He's like, I think you cracked the case. It's me in the shower. It's so good. I love Joe Pesci. She's great. She won an Oscar for it. Spider-Man Homecoming star, Marissa Tomei. Yeah, it's My Cousin Vinny for me.
Yeah, My Cousin Vinny is one of my favorite movies of all time. And just the dynamic of the judge's slow Southern drawl and Joe Pesci back and forth, the two like that, everything that happens in the courtroom is funny because of that. So give me My Cousin Vinny.
This is a tough one for me. This is probably my toughest matchup. I love National Lampoon's Vacation so much. When he stops the car and he flips out in the kids and the rain, just makes me laugh. But I have to go with My Cousin Vinny here because it's just an all-time classic. Everything about it, like the scene where he gets out of the car and his new suit gets tossed in the mud because it was in the trunk, and he's trying to move the piece of wood. And it's just, there's so many scenes you can quote, like when he goes to prison and he doesn't get bailed out so he can sleep. It's just, there's so many things.
That Chevy Chase, what a scamp. So you're going My Cousin Vinny, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. The 6-seed Bridesmaids against the 11-seed Shaun of the Dead. This is very difficult for me because I do love Shaun of the Dead. But I got to go with Bridesmaids. I mean, Bridesmaids, you can say it's a little bit overrated for what you want, but I still think it's got every bit as funny as it was the first time I saw it. Kristen Wiig is hysterical. Chris O'Dowd, really underrated part of that movie. Get your taillights fixed. Remember, everybody get their taillights fixed. The scene with the dress fitting, though, I think is really what ties the movie together. I mean, I'm doing it. I'm pooping in the street. It's happening. This is happening. It's happening right now. The airplane, great scene as well. Help me, I'm poor. Classic line. I think we can all identify with it. But overall, I think Bridesmaids is probably I do love Shaun of the Dead. Much respect to Shaun of the Dead, but I gotta lean Bridesmaids here.
Yeah, I'm sort of in that crowd of I think Bridesmaids is overrated. I think it's funny. I think it's really funny. And I think I love Melissa McCarthy in this movie because she's not trying to be Melissa McCarthy. She's actually doing like a little bit of character acting in there. Shaun of the Dead, though, is like the way you feel about Hot Fuzz is the way I feel about Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Shaun of the Dead here.
Okay. Dave, you're the tiebreaker.
I'm going to go Bridesmaids here. I just think it's too funny for me to turn down. I like Shaun of the Dead a lot. You what?
Have you seen Shaun of the Dead?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I
you
like
haven't seen Hot Fuzz, though, have you?
No, I have not. I do really like Shaun of the Dead, though. I think it's a really good movie. But Bridesmaids, to me, like when she's trapping in the street, I just think overall, like that cast is just so good together. They all play off each other really well, and it's a home run comedy for me.
I like when Melissa McCarthy puts the loaded handgun in his bag before they go on their honeymoon. TSA is going to tear him apart. All right, the 3-seed, this is Spinal Tap against the 14-seed Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite's gone through a lot of waves for me. I liked it when I first saw it. Then I was like, all right, this is too much. And then I liked it again. And then it was too much again. And now I'm back in the like, all right, it's not a bad movie. That being said, I have to go with This is Spinal Tap. I mean, it's not only a great movie and very funny, but it has a banging soundtrack. So Spinal Tap it is.
I wouldn't feel good about myself if I didn't advance This is Spinal Tap here. But Napoleon Dynamite, there was definitely like a year of my life where it was my favorite movie. And I probably watched it, I don't know, 150 times when I was 13, whenever it came out. And in part because it sort of had that effect, like I talked about earlier, like, oh, you haven't seen it here, watch it. But This is Spinal Tap is just, it's too good, too iconic.
Who among us didn't have a Vote for Pedro t-shirt? I certainly did. I own one. Wore it out. Dave.
And then who could forget I could throw this football over them there mountains.
Yeah, Uncle Rico. Iconic character.
It's such a great line. But I'm going to go with This is Spinal Tap. It's pretty easy for me.
Oh,
gosh, eat your food, Tina.
John Heater. We got many bad movies with him after that, except Blades of Glory. That was a classic. Did not make the cut, but I do love Blades of Glory. Shout out.
We missed the cut.
Shout out Chaz Michaels. Very good. Who knows if we ever get Watch the Throne without Blades of Glory? It's really a question that bears asking. All right, 2 more in the first round. The 7-seed, The Big Lebowski, and the 10-seed, A League of Their Own. I'm going to League of Their Own. I think Big Lebowski is a little overrated, personally. It's a big cult classic, maybe the biggest cult classic ever. But A League of Their Own, Tom Hanks is not on this bracket very often, but this might be his best purely comedic performance outside of like Toy Story.
Yeah, The Big Lebowski has iconic characters in it. I just don't find it that funny. It just doesn't make me laugh a ton. So give me A League of Their Own. A League of Their Own is not a movie I love, but it's a fantastic movie.
Dave?
I'm going to go with A League of Their Own as well. I think Big Lebowski's overrated, and I think A League of Their Own is just a really, really solid movie.
And now Dave can take his victory lap as I have to pick against the 15-seed Wayne's World against the 2-seed Dumb and Dumber. So Dumb and Dumber, special connection for me because it takes place partly on Rhode Island. We even see the big blue bug there in the background. And Dave knows I love Wayne's World. Like our second episode, we fought about this movie, and we still fight about it to this day, 200 episodes later. But Dumb and Dumber is much funnier. It may not be the better. It may not. I mean, saying Wayne's World a higher brow comedy is insane, but it's definitely not as lowbrow as Dumb and Dumber gets at times. But still, Dumb and Dumber is the more rewatchable movie to me, so I got to go Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. There's a couple things that like the scene with the bird and taping the bird's head back on, like the orange and blue suits. Like, how many times have you seen people wear that as costumes? Like, it's so good. I sort of agree with Dave where I don't love Wayne's World. I find it funny, but I just don't love it. I don't love it, but Dumb and Dumber is way better.
I got robbed by a sweet old lady on a motorized cart. You would see it coming. Dave, I know your pick here. I already wrote it on the sheet.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. But literally one of the funniest lines too is when he trades the van in for a moped, and he's like, I can get like 30 miles to the gallon on this bad boy. He's like, just when I think you can't get any stupider, you go and totally redeem yourself.
We should probably get something to eat. Oh no, I swallowed a big June bug about a half mile back. All right, so we're on to the round of 32. We'll move back to the Belushi region. The 1 seed Animal House against the 8 seed Clueless. I do like Clueless, but I feel like I have to advance Animal House here.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I didn't want Clueless to move on as much as I like it. I can't. Yeah, Animal House.
Dave.
Animal House, easy for me. Yeah.
All right, the 5 seed 40-year-old version against the 4 seed Tommy Boy. Tough choice here. I'm
gonna go 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah. Well,
Tommy Boy is really good. 40-year-old virgin is just. Maybe it's because maybe if I was 10 years older, I'd feel that way about Tommy Boy. But because I saw 40-year-old virgin when I was a teenager and not Tommy Boy, it sticks with me more than Tommy Boy does.
Well, Dave, congrats. You're going to be the tiebreaker because I'm going Tommy Boy just because I think I've seen it more times. And I think if I was to choose between watching one or the other right now, I probably would lead Tommy Boy, but I can see why you go 40-year-old virgin. So, Dave, it's a toss-up, and you're going to want us to decide it.
I think if I have to pick, I'm going to go 40-year-old virgin because I think if we're breaking a tie, they're so close, but I think the supporting cast of 40-year-old virgin is a lot better than Tommy Boy.
That's fair.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right. The first test of the 11 seeds here. Christmas Vacation up against the 3 seed Borat. Thanks for coming, Chevy Chase.
You should insert the Jeremy Piven gif of get the fuck out.
Pretty much.
Give me Borat.
Yeah. No, there's no I didn't pick it in the first place, so obviously I'm going Borat, but I go Borat either way.
Borat, yeah.
Clean sweep. Gotta love it. The 7 seed Young Frankenstein against the 2 seed Step Brothers. I love me some Young Frankenstein. Peter Boyle, rest in peace. Great guy. Great, very funny man. But yeah, I'm going Step Brothers here. No doubt about it.
Somehow these have been easier than the first round. Give me Step Brothers. It's Young Frankenstein is a really, really good movie. Like one of those smart movies. But Step Brothers, it's iconic.
Clean sweep, Dave?
Clean sweep. Step Brothers way too powerful for this movie.
All right, folks, we might have an upset here. The 1 seed Caddyshack against the 9 seed The Princess Bride.
I'll be the first one to say it. I'm taking Princess Bride.
I'll be the first one to say it. I'll volunteer as tribute. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go Princess Bride too. I just don't love Caddyshack. I know it's like sacrilege to say that. I just don't love it.
Yeah, I don't love Caddyshack either, but the problem is I don't love Princess Bride either. So it's already lost, so I'll break the tiebreaker with Caddyshack.
All right, so 2-1. Princess Bride advances, and we are going to get a lot of shit for it, so whatever. The 5 seed is Groundhog Day up against the 4 seed 21 Jump Street. Dave, you want to kick us off here?
I'm going to go with 21 Jump Street. I think we talked about it earlier. It's maybe the best comedy of last 15 years even. Like, it's so dry with comedies over that span. Like, there's just not really a lot going on. And 21 Jump Street paired together 2 unlikely people to make an unreal movie. Like, it's so funny. It has a lot of great parts to it. 21 Jump Street.
I didn't even hear what you said the 5th seed was, but I'm going to say 21 Jump Street.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Shit. Yeah, I'm still going 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, me too. Also, be remiss if I didn't mention Ice Cube with an absolutely incredible role. Don't look at Korean Jesus. Don't look at him.
The line about the snorkel too taking a shit in his mouth is like such a good line.
Oh man, it really is good. It's good. So it advances to Sweet 16. Congratulations, 21 Jump Street. The 11 seed Office Space against the 3 seed Billy Madison.
Oh damn, that's too bad.
Wow, that's a tough one.
it is tough, but still got to go Billy Madison here. I do love Office Space, but I think Billy Madison is the more rewatchable, the more quotable, and I think the funnier movie. Like Office Space is a little more of a black comedy at times, so I'm gonna lean Billy Madison.
Yeah, I guess I agree. Shit. Office Space is really, really good, immensely rewatchable, but you could say the same thing about Billy Madison, and Billy Madison is more iconic. It's I don't say funnier, but I'll go Billy Madison by a hair.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Billy Madison as well. I love Office Space, but I just can't pick against Billy Madison right now.
It will go up against the winner of the 7 seed Dazed and Confused and the 2 seed Blazing Saddles.
As much as I love Dazed and Confused, Blazing Saddles is too iconic of a comedy for my love of Dazed and Confused to move on. So I'll go Blazing Saddles.
Noble. Very noble. I'm going to go Blazing Saddles as well. Again, like I said, I picked against Dazed and Confused to begin with, so and I picked Blazing Saddles, so I got to pick the 2 seed to advance here. Dave?
I'm gonna go with Blazing Saddles as well. Easy pick for me.
Oof, it's gonna be that's a juicy quadrant we got going on over there. All right, the 1 seed Happy Gilmore against the 8 seed Legally Blonde. I do love Legally Blonde, but again, like I said, Happy Gilmore is one of my 3 or 4 favorite comedies of all time. Like if I did a Mount Rushmore of comedies, that's probably up there. So easy pick for me.
Yeah, Legally Blonde can bend and snap their way out of this bracket because Happy Gilmore is moving on.
I was just reuniting the rake with its family in the woods. Everybody's having a good time, but I'm not, Doug. Dave?
I'm gonna go with Happy Gilmore here, and we also have to talk about like that scene about that. I don't even know what the actor's name is, but about Red Lobster. He's like,
oh yeah,
dude, he's talking to like the millionaire golfer, and he's like, my treat, let's go to Red Lobster.
Peter, I thought we were gonna be friends.
It's just ridiculous.
I hope you brought a blanket and some suntan lotion, because you're not gonna go with that bait.
The scene in the bar when he smashes the bottle and starts rhyming, it's the funniest shit. It's so good. I just may.
I love the when he asks her out on a date and she's like, "Oh, I don't date golf." He's like, "Oh, good, because I'm a hockey player." Great comeback.
That's a great comeback.
All right, we're going old school. Battle of the 70s here. Airplane, the 5 seed against Monty Python, the 4 seed.
Monty Python. It's Airplane's really good. Airplane is really, at this point, every movie is really good. But Monty Python, I don't know if I'm going to pick against Monty Python. I'll say that.
Wow, that's going to be an interesting Sweet 16 then. Dave?
I'm going to go with Airplane here. I really, really like that movie. I really like a lot of the scenes they came up with and improvised, and some of the comedy bits that they have, and like the whole idea of like being on the plane and seeing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and it was hilarious. So I'm going to go with Airplane.
You know, I realize this going through the bracket. I've said it a lot, but I feel like Michael Scott would have a fun time doing this. There was a lot of movies he quotes on this list. Anyway, the who's going to be the Cinderella making it to the Sweet 16? The 11 seed Elf against the 14 seed This Is the End.
That's so tough.
Very difficult.
I'll go Elf because of what I said before. It's Will Ferrell 100% of the time. He's on screen for probably 100% of the movie, just about. This Is the End. One of my favorite surprises. Super funny. There's like 15 characters in the movie that are funny. But Elf is just, it's too good. Give me Elf.
Dave?
Oh man, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go with This Is the End. I really, really enjoy that movie. I love Elf too. I think that is an absolutely hysterical movie. Will Ferrell's awesome. He's throwing 100 miles an hour the whole time. But This Is the End is just what caught me such by, like, I was so surprised how good it was that I think in my head I've made it out to be way better than it is. I don't know, but it's just so funny to me, all those guys being together and like the random moments, like Michael Cera falling in the hot lava pit like for like 2 minutes. It's just
Michael Cera being like a coke addict who's a bastard is like one of the funniest things in the whole thing.
Like there's just random celebrities that show up for like a minute and then die in the hole.
Yeah.
Like Emma Watson shows up. It's just, what's going on here?
The whole bit about jerking off like a pilgrim too. It's just it's such a funny idea.
Yeah. It's just...
Well, I appreciate you gentlemen letting me be the tiebreaker. I appreciate that. but I'm going to lean Elf on this one, just because I think Elf is the more. Again, I know you said you watch it 2 months a year, but those are 2 glorious months that I watch Elf, and I watch it like every day. I do love This Is the End, but it does lose points just because Jay Baruchel exists on the screen.
I don't like him.
Yeah, it's like his only movie he's like really watchable in. But Elf for me is, I mean, like Max said, it's Will Ferrell 100% of the time. So like, 60% of the time it works every time. All right, the last matchup of the quadrant: the 7 seed, the Big Sick, against the 2 seed, Back to the Future. This is tougher than it appears on the surface, but I'm gonna lean Back to the Future because I feel like it's definitely more of a classic, and it's got higher highs than the Big Sick does.
I guess I wouldn't feel right owning this DeLorean, so I'm gonna go Back to the Future. As much the Big Sick has the single greater laugh in the movie, but Back to the Future.
I'm gonna go Back to the Future as well. I really enjoyed that movie. Big Sick's very, very good too. Like, these movies are all great that are still alive, I think, but Back to the Future is just a classic.
All right, the last round of 32 matchups. The 1 seed Anchorman against the 8 seed Superbad. I love Superbad, but Anchorman never falters. Anchorman is almost a perfect comedy, so it's easy pick for me.
That's a tough draw for Superbad. As much as I love Superbad, the minute you said it, I said, yeah, no, it's Anchorman. Got to be Anchorman.
I've said this many times, and I'll say it again as we do brackets. It's like when you or I got Oklahoma and beat them, and then they got Marvin Bagley and Duke in the next round, and they got absolutely annihilated by them. It's just a tough draw. Dave, I'm assuming it's a sweep here.
It's a sweep. I mean, realistically, even if someone thought these two are close, the greater scene is the fight scene. Like, that's an all-time fights comedy scene. Like, all the different, you have Ben Stiller, you have Vince Vaughn. Like, it's just an all-time scene, and you have to go.
I killed a guy. I saw that. Been meaning to talk to you about that.
You might want to lay low for a while because you're probably wanted for murder.
Brick, where did you get a hand grenade? I don't know.
Oh my god!
I love Lamp.
Iconic ensemble cast. They're so good. And
I've asked people where they've gotten something and set them up for the toilet store joke so many times over the years. It's fucking. It's so good. Where'd you get that? The toilet store?
I still think my favorite line from the movie is, Ron, can you tell me what diversity is? I believe diversity is an old wooden ship used during the Civil War era. That's a nice try, but no. Also, a really underrated part, rest in peace, Fred Willard, but the scenes where he's on the phone and people come in and he's like, Chris, just put down the crossbow. It's fantastic stuff. But yeah, Anchorman is sweet.
What about the one where Will Ferrell's like, oh my god, milk was a terrible choice.
Yeah.
Milk was a bad choice.
The man punted Jack Black in this movie.
The mean man, he punted Baxter.
I mean, you forget Jack Black's in the movie, but he has an incredible cameo. All right, the 5 seed Mean Girls up against the 4 seed My Cousin Vinny. This is very difficult.
Man,
wow.
Very brutal.
That's a tough one.
Tough one. I'll start. As much as I love My Cousin Vinny, I think I have to go Mean Girls. I think Mean Girls overall is the funnier movie. It may not be the better overall like script, even though it might be, but I think Mean Girls, if I'm to watch one of these comedies right now, I definitely am going to watch Mean Girls.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. At this point, I'll just choose the funnier movie. That'll make it easy for me. Mean Girls. It is.
Abe?
I'm going to go Mean Girls too. I think it's definitely it's probably a funnier movie. I don't know. My Cousin Vinny is just so good, but again, Mean Girls is just an all-time movie.
This is true. The 6 seed Bridesmaids against the 3 seed This Is Spinal Tap.
This is Spinal Tap. I didn't want Bridesmaids to be here. Enough said.
I have a feeling Dave's going to take Spinal Tap anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick Spinal Tap.
I'm going to take Spinal Tap. Yeah, I love Bridesmaids, but it's not going to win.
I do love the scene where she breaks down at I think it's the bridal shower, right? Where Rose Byrne, fantastic. I love everything Rose Byrne's in pretty much. Mm-hmm. Especially X-Men First Class, very good as Moira McTaggart, but she's great in this movie. Just a character you really love to hate. And especially at the shower when Kristen Wiig just goes absolutely insane and just starts tearing at the cookie and trying to pull down the chocolate fountain. Oh, it's great. It's great. But yeah, thanks for coming, Bridesmaids. But This Is Spinal Tap, a true classic. And the last matchup of the round of 32, A League of Their Own, the 10 seed against the 2 seed, Dumb and Dumber. I mean, I love Dumb and Dumber more than I love A League of Their Own. So that's really what it comes down to for me. I laugh way more at that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would say, without a shadow of doubt, it's A League of Their Own is a better movie, but right. Dumb and Dumber is significantly funnier.
Look, one of these movies has Cam Neely, the other does not.
Kick his ass, Seabass.
Dumb and Dumber is by far the funnier movie here, so I'm gonna go Dumb and Dumber.
Oh my god, dude! I mean, yeah, I think Mac's right. A League of Their Own is obviously the better movie, like the more compelling story. But if you're going for comedy, like Dumb and Dumber is the funnier movie. Like, I mean, let's be real here. The Sweet 16 is upon us. The John Belushi region, the 1 seed Animal House against the 5 seed the 40-year-old virgin.
Oh, so now we're getting tough because Animal House is so good and it's been beloved for so long. But I'd be lying if I said I laugh more at that than I do at 40-year-old virgin. So give me 40-year-old virgin.
Dave?
I'm going to actually agree with Mac here. I'm going to take 40-year-old virgin. I just think that movie, I think the true test of movies is, can you watch them more than once? Sometimes you can't, but like, do they stay in your head when you think about it? Like, I immediately think of like 7 different things on 40-year-old virgin that are funny. And Animal House, I don't feel like I have that many scenes that I could think of right off the top of my head. So I'm gonna
hope you got a trunk because I'm putting my bike in it.
I'll give Animal House the vote just because obviously the writing's on the wall in terms of who wins. But yeah, 40-year-old virgin, I can't blame anybody for picking it. It's a classic.
The conversation he has on the phone too when he's setting up the date with what's her face? I forget her name.
Elizabeth Banks?
No, is it no, the one that he ends up with there? And what's her name? I always forget her name.
Catherine Keener?
Yes. Yeah, with Keener when she's like, oh, that's cool. My college boyfriend rode a bike. And he's like, yeah, bikes. I ride a bicycle.
Oh man. I can't fall. You know, Animal House does get to hang that Sweet 16 banner. So it's got that going for it.
There it is.
Which is nice. All right, the 3 seed Borat against the 2 seed Step Brothers. Good luck with this one.
Jesus. These are my 2 favorite comedies of all time.
Yeah.
Borat is the one that wow. I'm gonna go Step Brothers and not feel great about it. But if I went the other way, maybe I'd feel worse. Give me Step Brothers.
Well, I won't. Unfortunately, Dave won't be the tiebreaker here because I am also going to roll Step Brothers. Borat is definitely hysterical and probably the better movie because of just how much not groundbreaking, but it is just wild to watch the footage they made in that movie.
Right.
But Step Brothers, I think, again, if I'm going to pop one down right now, watch it. It's probably Step Brothers.
I guess if I had to like really break it down, there's a couple more lulls in Borat than there is in Step Brothers. And like even at the end, like a lot of these comedies have that third act where the resolution is and it's not that funny. The Billy Joel cover band in the third act of Step Brothers, there could have been no other laughs in the third act. That alone is worth it.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Every character in Step Brothers has something memorable about them.
Right.
Like Catherine Hahn, Adam Scott, Robert Riggle, like everybody has something. Even Andrea Savage has a great moment here and there.
Yep.
But Dave, is it a sweep for Step Brothers, or are you going to give Borat that respect vote?
No. I mean, I love Borat, but Step Brothers to me, like the Catalina wine mixer, the line like,
wow.
why do you take your skank hooker wife and get the hell out of here? It just goes from 0 to 100 so fast.
I love too when Will Ferrell goes in there to ask for a job from Adam Scott, and Rob Riggle, I forget the line exactly, but it says something to the effect of he ate a man's penis, and Adam Scott says he saw it. Will Ferrell's like, you saw that?
Yeah, it was in international waters, so they couldn't prosecute him. But Adam Scott's just absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
I love when he goes in the treehouse and it's a very clear cutaway to a Jack with the ab.
You're looking like you want to punch me, don't you? Go ahead, punch me.
Punch me. Babe, Dane Cook, pay-per-view, 20 minutes. Catherine, I will take Catherine Hahn in every movie that's ever been made. So yeah.
So good.
Anyway, the next Sweet 16 matchup, the 9 seed Princess Bride against the 4 seed 21 Jump Street. Thanks for coming, Carrie Elwes, but 21 Jump Street advances for me.
Agreed.
Easy pick, yeah.
I almost put Jump Street. That's not it. Yeah, 21 Jump Street. Easy win to get to the Elite Eight. Princess Bride, you can hang that banner, though. Congratulations. Maybe a little bit harder here. 3 seed Billy Madison against the 2 seed Blazing Saddles.
Oh, shit.
It's toughy.
That
Classic against a modern classic. If it makes it easier for you, Mac, one of them has Norm Macdonald, the other one does not.
I think because I'm going to lean on Happy Gilmore here coming up, I'm going to get rid of Billy Madison and go for Blazing Saddles.
I think I'm gonna lean that way too. Because like I said, I'm higher on Happy Gilmore than I am Billy Madison. So if I'm gonna advance one of them, I'll probably do Happy Gilmore instead.
Yeah, that's sort of my feeling.
And we already kicked out Young Frankenstein, so you got to get Mel Brooks to the Elite Eight somehow. Dave?
I'm gonna go Billy Madison here. I love Blazing Saddles a lot, but that third act, like the race and like the trivia game, when he's like, that might be the most incoherent answer we've ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber. I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul. I will never forget that line.
A simple no would have done just fine.
It's so good.
Yeah, so that does it. That'll be a great Elite Eight matchup. Next up, the 1 seed Happy Gilmore against the 4 seed Monty Python. Mac, you sort of tipped your hand, but I also tipped mine. Yeah, I'm going Happy Gilmore. I mean, again, it's one of my favorite movies ever. Like, not even just comedy, but I do love Monty Python. But at the end of the day, I gotta lean Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I guess there's probably 5 movies on the list that I'd take over Monty Python. This happens to be one of them. So give me Happy Gilmore.
Dave?
I'm gonna go with Happy Gilmore as well. Pretty easy pick for me.
1 seed, baby. 1 seed cruises onto the Elite Eight.
Chalk.
All right. The 11 seed Elf against the 2 seed Back to the Future. Does Cinderella's run continue or does it end here?
Yeah, for me, because I've used this logic already, Back to the Future is a better movie,
Right.
but Elf makes me laugh way more. So I'm going to go Elf here.
Yeah, I would be sleeping on the couch if I didn't say the same. I'm also going to lean Elf. So, Dave, I hate to say it, but your vote means nothing. What would you like to say?
Clean sweep. I'm going to vote Elf as well.
I love it. I love it. Some people won't, but I love it. All right. This is very difficult for me. It's not difficult because I know what I'm going to say, but the 1 seed Anchorman against the 5 seed Mean Girls. That's a brutal Sweet 16 draw for Mean Girls.
Yeah, as much as we all love Mean Girls, I think Anchorman, you got to go Anchorman. I'm going Anchorman, I guess.
Yeah, like you said earlier, Mac, Anchorman doesn't make me think twice with a lot of its matchups. Mean Girls, I definitely thought twice, but the second thought also landed me on Anchorman. So yeah, I gotta go with Anchorman here.
I'm gonna make it a clean sweep. I'm gonna take Anchorman as well. It's almost a perfect comedy, like you said earlier, Jake. There's just not a lot of dull moments in that.
And the right to face Anchorman in the Elite Eight. The 3 seed This Is Spinal Tap against the 2 seed Dumb and Dumber.
Give me Dumb and Dumber.
Mm.
Spinal Tap is a great movie. I laugh more at Dumb and Dumber.
Dave?
Dumb and Dumber. I think I'm gonna make it a clean sweep here.
Oh, you know you're making it a clean sweep. I love me some Dumb and Dumber. I would watch if it was on right now. I'd end the podcast and go watch it. All right, fellas, we're in the Elite Eight. Here we go. The Belushi region, the final. The 5 seed 40-year-old virgin against the 2 seed Step Brothers.
Wow.
Step Brothers, because it doesn't have the same lull in the third act. It's my favorite comedy of all time, but if you want to go back and forth with it, 40-year-old virgin is probably every bit as funny for the first 2/3, but Step Brothers is a way better third act.
Oh yeah, Step Brothers arguably maybe the best act of the movie is the third act. I mean, it might get better with every single act in the movie.
Right.
The Step Brothers I've seen so many times, I can quote lines that aren't even relevant. Like for some reason, the one that comes to mind is like you look like down Cutler. Man, that's 45 minutes. He wants to avoid Chris Gardocki. For some reason, that one just sticks out. It has nothing to do with it. It's so buried at the bottom of the best
He
line
calls him Mr. Gardocki too. That's fucking unbelievable.
Mr. Gardocki. I guess he has a Oh no, that's Brennan that does that, but he keeps calling him Mr. Doback, and he's calling him Doback. I don't think I'm making myself clear. Anyway, I'm gonna go Step Brothers too. I do love 40-Year-Old Virgin, but I think like Max said, it doesn't have that lull Step Brothers that 40-Year-Old Virgin does. Dave?
I have to go Step Brothers. I love 40-Year-Old Virgin, but I mean Step Brothers is just it's so damn good. I can't go against it.
All right, a very interesting final here in the Bill Murray region. 21 Jump Street, the 4 seed against Blazing Saddles, the 2 seed.
Oof, man.
I feel like I'm kind of throwing shade on all these older comedies simply by using the logic, which one makes me laugh more. But again, here, 21 Jump Street for sure makes me laugh more than Blazing Saddles. There are several hearty laughs in Blazing Saddles, but 21 Jump Street, beat for beat, is funnier.
I think I'm going to have to agree. I mean, as weak as the 2010s are, 21 Jump Street just stands out, A, because it's so funny in the first place, but B, it was a surprise when I saw it. I mean, we've said this already, but almost ad nauseum, but like it's just such a pleasant surprise, especially in such a dead zone of a decade for comedies. I'm going to lean 21 Jump Street. So, Dave?
I'm going to go 21 Jump Street as well. I think it's just a funnier movie. Like Max said, it's just a funnier movie.
It was just so smart to flip it on its head, to have Jonah Hill get in with the cool kids and Channing Tatum get in with the nerds. Like that in and of itself made it way funnier than it needed to be.
Don't forget Ron Swanson. Great cameo in that. Yeah. And the does Cinderella's run continue or does it end in the Elite Eight? We have Happy Gilmore, the 1 seed, against Elf, the 11 seed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Happy Gilmore. Shit. Yeah, I'll go Happy Gilmore. Feel bad. I don't feel great as number one Will Ferrell fan, as I like to consider myself. I just think Will Ferrell. It's a pretty similar movie, right? Because both movies have the main character on screen for 100% of the time, and I sort of think Will Ferrell is better in Elf, but kind of what Dave brought up earlier, the side characters in Happy Gilmore are much better.
Yeah, they are. There. Take one more step towards me. I'll burn the house down.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
No.
The Ben Stiller uncredited role is so good too.
Yes.
Oh, your fingers hurt? Well, your back's gonna hurt. He's full of landscaping duty. Everybody else's fingers hurt? I didn't think so. I'm also gonna go Happy Gilmore. It is. I would pick it anyway, but also we're pretty much gonna have a guaranteed Will Ferrell movie in the final anyway. So I'm gonna go Happy Gilmore. Dave?
I'm gonna go Happy Gilmore as well, and I just think like that Ben Stiller role just like really sells it too, because it's the beginning of the movie and you think he's like this nice guy, and she's like, "Can I have a glass of warm milk? You can have a glass of shut the hell up. You will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep." It's just like, whoa, where did that come from?
Also, Happy Gilmore gives me one of my favorite gifts to use all the time, which is "Get me out of here."
That lady just was on the screen for like 10 seconds the whole movie, and it's both times she's getting hit by air conditioners and cars.
I love and the line before it is like, "Oh, look at all these people looking having a great time. Looks like a really fun place." Just pops on the windshield.
And then he dumps fries on the windshield. Leave us alone.
Oh, that's great. It's so good. So Happy Gilmore, congratulations out of the final 4. And then the last one, tipped my hand a little bit already. The 1 seed Anchorman against the 2 seed Dumb and Dumber. I love Dumb and Dumber. Don't get me wrong. But like we've said 4 times now, Anchorman is a near perfect comedy. So yeah.
Yeah, not much to add to that. I think, Dumb and Dumber is one of the most rewatchable comedies of all time, but Anchorman is just way more quotable. There's a lot of sight gags and a lot of situational comedy in Dumb and Dumber, whereas Anchorman, you can recite 30 quotes off the top of your head. So give me Anchorman.
Anchorman, easy choice for me here.
Skeleton has oddly shaped feet. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. What's your name? Lanolin? Lanolin, like sheep's wool?
Brick, are you inviting me to a party in your pants? Yes, I am. No, I will not be attending. Okay. Scampers away.
All right. Look at me. All right. I'm sorry.
The whole wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad.
Wilt Chamberlain?
Sorry, it was in all caps. I thought I had to yell it.
It also, if you were ranking a top 10 of best one-use F-bombs in PG-13 movies, probably at the top. Or at least close to it. Like,
Yes.
flawless delivery, too.
Yep.
Absolutely flawless. So now we have the final four. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm assuming you're going Anchorman here.
Yeah, I'm going Anchorman, yeah.
All right, final four. Our first matchup, the Battle of Will Ferrell movies. We knew it was going to come to this. The 1-seed Anchorman against the 2-seed Step Brothers.
I feel like I'm going to lose this. I like Step Brothers more than Anchorman. And it's maybe I'm in the minority there. I know Anchorman's get the better. Like Ron Burgundy's one of the greatest comedic characters of all time, if not the greatest. But the dynamic in Step Brothers, between the Step Brothers, does it for me. So I'm going to go Step Brothers.
Well, Dave, you're going to have to be the deciding vote here because I'm going to lean Anchorman. I do, again, it is...
You could do a whole hour podcast on just this battle, Step Brothers versus Anchorman.
Yeah, you could. I mean, we've considered doing that before, and then I guess we kind of taken that idea off the table now, but maybe at some point. I mean, it's so difficult because they're just such great movies, both of them. They're so funny. Will Ferrell's incredible in both of them. I just like the ensemble a little bit, even though I pretty much said the same thing about Step Brothers. Like everybody in Anchorman that's on screen delivers something hysterical. Even Chris Parnell, who has like 5 lines in the movie, has the incredible breakdown at the bar or wherever he was, or breakdown in the station. He's like, "You have poop coming out of your mouth." Incredible. It's incredible.
It's the pets. The plea of the pets.
It's the plea. It's like the worst of the time the raccoon got in the copier. Dave, you have the deciding vote here.
Oh my God, this is brutal. I think I am going to go with. I'm gonna go with Step Brothers. I think it's a tiny bit funnier. I think the relationship between those two characters, and I don't remember the name of who's the father. What's his name? I forget.
I don't remember his name ever.
Was it oh my God. All I think of is Doback. That's it. When
like he is such a funny character in this. Like it's just
Robert. His name is Robert.
Yeah, it's just like when he's like, "No, you don't wake up a sleepwalker," and they carry him and toss him downstairs.
Dale, no power tools.
I think maybe one of my favorite underrated lines from that movie is after the scene where they show the video of them crashing the boat, and there's just that dead silence, and then Brennan's like, "So, aside from the damage to the boat, which we will fix, what did you think?" You'll keep your liver-spotted hands off my mother. She is a saint.
And the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna write a check to Dale and Brennan for $15,000.
Oh, it's so good. I don't regret my vote for Anchorman, but I am glad Step Brothers won. All right, so the other final four matchup: the 4-seed 21 Jump Street against the 1-seed Happy Gilmore. I will say my piece because I don't know if I'm gonna win or lose this one, but Happy Gilmore is my pick here. Again, I do love 21 Jump Street, but I can quote Happy Gilmore more, and I think it is the slightly funnier movie. So I could lose this, but I'm prepared to lose this.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go Happy Gilmore, mostly because I think Happy Gilmore versus Step Brothers is a more intriguing matchup than 21 Jump Street is for Step Brothers.
It's like it's like whenever Gonzaga reaches the finals, like, you know what's going to happen. Like they're going to get there. Or when actually better comparison's Butler. Like, okay, Butler's there. That's great. Cinderella run. What's it going to? They're going to lose again, as they always do. But I agree. I think Happy Gilmore's the more appetizing final matchup. Dave?
I'm going to go with Happy Gilmore as well. I just think overall it has just so much going for it. Like there's a lot of funny parts, funny cameos, funny moments. And I think 21 Jump Street is awesome in its own right, but I just don't think it quite has the funny quotes as it does in Happy Gilmore.
Hey, that's one hell of a VCU-esque Final Four run. I'll tell you that right now. A hell of a run. All right, gentlemen, our all-time comedy final. The 2-seed Step Brothers against the 1-seed Happy Gilmore. I would say this is tough for me, but it actually isn't.
Either.
I'm going Step Brothers.
Yep.
The clean sweep. It's
Yeah.
a clean sweep.
Clean
Yeah,
sweep.
I'll speak my piece.
To
Okay.
me,
Go ahead.
the real championship was that Final Four matchup, right? Anchorman versus Step Brothers was what I was eyeing, because I think the winner of that would have beat either of the two from this side.
Yep. I agree.
It's not easy for me because I do love Happy Gilmore. It is one of my favorite comedies of all time. If you haven't caught that by now, the fifth time I said it, it is incredible. I just think it's not quite Wedding Singer level of Adam Sandler, showing he's kind of has some dramatic talent in him, but he's very good overall. And like, Max said about kind of the same not Anchorman deal, but Elf, whereas he's on screen like the whole movie. It's pretty much his movie. And you do have Chubbs Peterson, who I'd be remiss not to mention, one of the best characters in this entire bracket. That's not the lead. He's incredible. Virginia Bennett, obviously Shooter McGavin. It's got a lot of great characters in it, but overall, it's got to be Step Brothers. It can't not be Step Brothers. Step Brothers this is an incredibly niche and bad comparison, but if you remember in season 9 of The Office, a great start to any comparison, when Pete said you could quote the entire script of Die Hard, this is probably the closest I could come to doing that, Step Brothers, because I've just seen it so many times, and it's the perfect length for a comedy. It's right about like 90 minutes. So is Happy Gilmore, so it's not like that's a big advantage, but it is just one after another after another. And Happy Gilmore doesn't have any lulls necessarily, but there are parts where it isn't laugh-a-minute stuff. So I think Step Brothers is the rightful winner here.
There's definitely more like air to breathe in Happy Gilmore, if that makes sense. It's not joke. And that said, I think if you're gonna pick like a dynamic duo to go up against Dale and Brennan, Happy and Shooter is a pretty good 1-2 combo. I think a lot of people would say Shooter McGavin's even more iconic than Happy Gilmore is, but Dale and Brennan, too good to beat. And it's one of those things, like it's what sort of like The Office, when you go in YouTube bloopers, the outtakes from Step Brothers is funnier than 90% of the other comedies ever made.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it's like with Anchorman, like I'm sure they had so much footage they could have made like a second movie just out of that. Right. And that's another thing. I mean, this doesn't obviously, apply to why I picked Anchorman or whatnot, but the fact that Step Brothers is a self-contained one movie story and they didn't go anywhere else with it. It was very successful. It was loved by the fans, and they decided not to do anything else with it. It's just completely contained in that one movie, and that's perfect. Nothing to go off of, nothing to tarnish its legacy. There's no Step Brothers 2, where they look very much older, like that Willy World commercial where they look like they're 90 and they're like caked in makeup.
Yep.
But it's kind of just hermetically sealed in its own world. So that's why I say got the edge over Anchorman. I picked Anchorman, so I'm not sure why I'm even saying
no, I think that's a good point, though, because sort of I think a good example of that is like The Hangover, right? I have a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because of the sequels. And it's nothing the first movie did. It's just those movies exist, and so it makes the first one look a little worse. And I think I don't know if I would say that about Anchorman, but I think you could see someone thinking that way.
Not to spend too much time on the sequel, but I watched not the whole movie, but I watched most of the sequel the other night for the first time since I saw it in theaters. There's only two things I remember from that whole movie. One is the only person that made me laugh was Paul Rudd, because his delivery is absolutely perfect with everything he says. And I know she hates every time I tell this story, but the Dobie scene with the shark going back in the ocean might be the hardest I've ever heard Emily laugh in my entire life. For no reason either. Like, it's not even that funny, she's admitted, but like her reaction to it was perfect in the theater.
I don't think I've rewatched it since the theater. And it was definitely one of the most disappointed I was leaving the theater. It was just, there were some good hard laughs in there, but it was few and far between. And they definitely laid on the brick in Kristen Wiig's character way too much. And
is the definition of overstuffed. Like too many cameos, too many. Like, just look at the fight scene at the end. Like just too much. The original fight scene was perfect because there was like 5 people and 1 cameo or 2 that you didn't expect, and not like 80,000 of them. But Dave, your piece about Step Brothers.
I just think it's so great in that you're watching 2 characters that for whatever reason are just like complete failures almost. Like they have no idea that they're failures, but they're failures. Like everyone else sees them one way and they just see themselves as giant kids.
Delusional.
And yeah, it's funny because all this stuff is stuff that you joke around with your friends, like, oh, I don't want to be that 40-year-old guy living with my parents in their basement building bunk beds. And it's like, here they are, not in the basement, but they're upstairs building bunk beds before they go and interview for like a janitor job, and they tell them to do the tuxes. It's like you can build a more ridiculous pair doing more ridiculous things if you try. Like Dumb and Dumber 2 looks like you're watching The Sopranos compared to watching like what Dale and Brennan do on Step Brothers. So it's like it's just completely different.
I think the hardest I laughed the first time I watched the movie is when they're doing the interview with the blonde lady and they're sitting behind each other. Yeah. And he leans around, hello, Miss Lady.
Yeah,
please, I can help with the Pan situation.
And he's like, so the D, a silent D at the end.
Pam and did.
No. I love when they're interviewing the guy and he's like, can we interview you? He's like, oh, that's usually a useful thing. The first question is, how much money do you make every year before tax? Obviously Seth Rogen. There's another one though, right?
That ketchup and onions. Ketchup and onions.
I could taste it on my tongue. There was a fourth one, but I think it got cut. It was a deleted.
Yeah, there's definitely one or two more in like the deleted scenes.
But it's just incredible. It's incredible. It is, and I think another test of how great it is that even on TV, it's watchable. Like,
yes, true.
Even though it's censored, like heavily censored, like the whole bathroom scene with Kathryn Hahn is deleted on TV. Like not even there, or very very heavily edited. But overall, like it's still watchable on TV. Like I'd rather watch it on Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max, wherever it is these days. But it is still funny on TV. Like, and I know you alluded to it earlier, but the Sweet Child of Mine scene in the car is so flat. Was it $2,000 a week for voice lessons? and this is what I get. It's just the worst thing I've ever heard.
Nobody almost crashes the car, kills me.
Jesus.
It literally comes out throwing 100 though, because you have Dale in his house, and the dad's like, all right, I'm heading out to my meeting, $20 on the table. Dad, I'm getting pizza and wings. That's not enough.
He's playing Guitar Hero.
Yes.
Stuffed into that like way too small shirt.
And then at the end, when they're in the boat and Will Ferrell pops up, Chewbacca mess. I'm not even mad. Mine's not movie quality.
it's okay. Crossbows. Oh my god, it is just it's. So
I wonder if it carries this much weight too, because obviously it's super funny, but that simple concept of fuck ups need to not be fuck ups anymore.
Right.
It's a good enough story to make it a better story than what most other comedies have. Like Dumb and Dumber has a nice little plot to it. Like those 40-Year-Old Virgin's another one, but like Happy Gilmore, maybe that's why it loses. Like the plot, I don't really care about the plot so much in Happy Gilmore.
It's got a nice plot, but it's really at the end of the day, like Step Brothers is just like you said, such a simple story. I would be remiss though about Dumb and Dumber if I didn't mention my favorite line from Dumb and Dumber, which is the after they screw over Cam Neely and they're driving down the road and he's like, so what happened in the movie? They pull one over on the guy and they get off scot-free. He's like, no, in the movie they catch up to him a half mile down the road and slit his throat. Oh, it's so good. A rightful Elite Eight inclusion for Dumb and Dumber. But yeah, so that does it. So the final four, just for people who want a little recap, the final four were 21 Jump Street, Happy Gilmore, Step Brothers, and Anchorman. And the victor of the all-time comedies bracket is Step Brothers over Happy Gilmore by a sweep of 3-0. And Mac, thank you for joining us to run through these.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've never really done a bracket when we go through in the episode like that. And to be honest, I kind of enjoy it because you don't have time to mellow on it. You just got to make a snap decision. And usually that's going to be what the truth is, what you really believe. So I very much enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And where can we find you?
You can find me at Fleetwood JMac on Twitter. My podcast is at Mac and Goo Podcast. You can find us anywhere podcasts are found.
Yes, and this week you guys did some WandaVision stuff.
Yes, yeah. So did you guys both watch and finish WandaVision?
Oh yes.
I really really liked it. I did, but it's funny. I feel like I'm in the middle of what the internet is. The internet is like best thing ever, nothing wrong with it. And some people really don't like it. And I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there were definitely some really good highs to it, but I don't know if it was you or Goo that said it, but I think it was you that said this wasn't supposed to be the first thing of Phase 4. This was supposed to be like the fifth thing in Phase 4.
Right.
So it's important to go in with that and be like, all right, well, this was supposed to come before, like, what was it, like probably months before Doctor Strange. So like this was supposed to be a lead into it, and now we have to.
It was supposed to be. I was supposed to end like 4 weeks before Doctor Strange came out, and so now there's a year between that where I'm sure the end of WandaVision would have looked much different if it was actually running into Doctor Strange like it was supposed to.
Right, but I agree on the long and short of it is I agree. I really liked it. I didn't, it wasn't my favorite MCU thing ever. But it also, people saying they hate it. I don't know what you expected. I know you wanted Magneto to show up. I'm sorry you didn't. But at the end of the day,
I do see it as sort of a missed opportunity to bring in characters like the X-Men and Fantastic Four. But I mean, I don't know when they would have done it during what we got, but that was sort of a lot of people's expectation going in. So I could see why they could come out of that being disappointed and not really liking it.
I will say though, if the series was worth nothing else other than waiting just to hear the name Scarlet Witch and
That's
the
cool.
comic accurate costume, it was enough.
Yeah, real cool.
Dave, your thoughts?
I'm with you guys. I don't think it was my favorite thing ever, and it definitely was not the worst thing ever. Like we saw the Hulk and we saw the Thor Dark World. Like those are by far worse products.
Yeah.
But like I think one thing about it too is just it was kind of like wildly uneven. And it doesn't mean episodes were bad or like amazing. It just means like the flow is just a lot different. Like there was a lot of highs that were just kind of randomly placed throughout the season. Like episode 9 is usually supposed to be the best episode, and it really wasn't. Like you're looking at really like episode maybe 5 or 6, and then you're kind of like wandering through. And the beginning was kind of like a weird lead-in to kind of introduce you to everything. So it was just like an overall weird feeling. But I did really enjoy it. I thought it was really good.
Here's a question, a parting shot, so to speak, with the two of you. Do you think you'll like Falcon and the Winter Soldier more, about as much, or less than the show?
So that's a good question, actually, because going into WandaVision, I didn't really expect to love it. So I guess maybe that's why I don't have a ton of hate for it, because I sort of wanted it to do a lot of things, and it was probably going to fall short of it anyways. Whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I sort of know exactly what it's going to be, and it's going to fit into this nice little story. I'm not expecting it to do a million things. I just want a little more of Winter Soldier and of Falcon, which we did in WandaVision. But because Wanda's so powerful, I think we expected so much more out of it. I think I'm going to like Falcon and Winter Soldier more, in part because it's only going to be 6 episodes, too.
That's true. I feel like it'll be a little bit longer, the episode lengths, than WandaVision was or whatever. I think I might like it a little bit more, just because I think we're going to get a similar ending where you're going to get that reveal of Sam Wilson in his own unique Captain America suit.
I hope so.
I feel like I really hope we get that. That would be incredible. Also looking forward to the return of Zemo and all that stuff and the mask and everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Dave, what do you think?
I think I'm going to like it a little bit more. I was never really super into WandaVision. I always thought it was kind of going to be like a kind of a B+, B- kind of show in that range. But I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was kind of my thought of it's going to be the best TV show of the major ones that they're producing, just because we have a lot of things to look into. Like we get to see Bucky a lot more than we ever really saw him besides like one movie. And we get to see the new Captain America. We get to see the new like Sam holding the shield. Like we get a lot of things that we wouldn't have seen otherwise if we had to wait for the next movie that he's in.
I'm telling you, I'm excited for Loki too. I think Loki's going to be low-key pretty good. No pun intended.
Oh, I see what you did there.
That was actually no pun intended, but I do think that's going to be pretty good too.
Well, especially with an Infinity Stone involved, like the possibilities are endless there. The other thing I'm interested to see in Falcon and Winter Soldier is Goo brought this up in our podcast. Anthony Mackie's doing all of the pub for the show, and you're not seeing Sebastian Stan like at all. So now I'm starting to think, does Winter Soldier die? Is that when maybe Sam Wilson fully becomes Captain America because he doesn't feel like he has to share it with anyone? So that's the thought I have going into it.
That would be interesting. That would be a real gut punch, especially since he just died and came back. Die again. That would be pretty rough. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm excited. But that's your Marvel minute here with us. If you want to listen to our episode about WandaVision, you can go find it with our episode about The Boys season 2, and that it does not exist. But it's up there with our Toy Story 4 episode and many, many others that we said were going to happen. It's like the Dork Jessica Jones season 3. It's,
you can't review everything, right?
Well, we'll get to it at some point. And the people know that Dave and I love our WandaVision. Big Paul Bettany guy, huge. Got a big fat head of him in my bedroom. Scares me every time I wake up. But anyway, Dave, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at David_Albiani.
Dave has the exclusive 9-figure deal with Twitter. He's there, $100 million just to be there. It's incredible. Like, it doesn't give me a penny of it, but it's whatever. It's okay. I'll learn to live with it, Dave. You can find me at Jacob_Morocco, the podcast, SESL Podcast on Twitter, CSLpodcast.com, all those fun places. Go like, rate, subscribe, 5-star on Apple and Spotify, and maybe we'll get an exclusive deal. Now, I mean, we do have billions of non-listeners, so I mean, there's potential for anything at some point. Really, just so much untapped potential there. But thank you for listening. Thank you for playing along. And next week, Jake Levin joins us to go through the all-time coaches bracket, which I'm sure will feature Levin schooling us on a lot of hockey. So I'm interested in that. But we'll keep you in tune and join us next week. All right. Let me end the broadcast here.